Camila Wilson's hands trembled as she balanced the crystal wine glasses on the silver tray. Through the towering windows of Matteo Lorenzo's penthouse, the New York City skyline glittered like a promise she could never touch. She'd been working in this marble palace for 8 months, and every day felt like walking through a museum where she didn't belong. More wine. A voice barked from the dining room. She smoothed down her black uniform dress, the fabric crisp and impersonal, and stepped back into the lion's den. 6 men in thousand suits sat around the mahogany table, their laughter too loud, their eyes too sharp. And at the head of the table sat Matteo Lorenzo himself, dark-haired, devastatingly handsome, with eyes like midnight that never quite looked at her, but somehow saw everything. Camila had learned to be invisible in this world. Invisible was safe. But tonight, something felt different. Tonight, Matteo's jaw was tighter than usual, his knuckles white against his whiskey glass. She didn't know it yet, but in the next 60 seconds, her entire life would shatter and rebuild itself. The man she thought saw her as nothing more than hired help was about to show the world and her exactly how wrong they all were. Because Matteo Lorenzo didn't just notice Camila Wilson. He'd been falling for her since the day she walked through his door, and he was about to prove it in the most explosive way possible. Camila refilled the wine glasses with practiced precision, her movements fluid and silent. She'd perfected the art of being present but unnoticed, a survival skill learned from 3 years of working in wealthy homes after her mother died. "This Barolo is exceptional, Matteo," one of the men said, his accent thick with old money. "Almost as good as what the Aurelio family serves." Matteo's expression didn't change, but Camila felt the temperature in the room drop. If you're enjoying this story and want to see what happens next, please subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to us as we continue bringing these stories to life. The Aurelio were his rivals. Everyone in New York knew that. The Aurelio, Matteo said quietly, have no taste in wine or business. The men laughed, a sound that made Camila's skin prickle. She moved to the next guest, a heavy-set man with cold blue eyes, who grabbed the bottle from her hands. "I can pour my own wine, sweetheart. Wouldn't want you to strain yourself." Camila stepped back, her face carefully neutral. "Of course, sir." "Tell me," Lorenzo, another man said, gesturing carelessly with his fork. "Where do you find your help these days? She looks like she wandered in from the wrong side of town." The words hit Camila like a slap, but she kept her expression blank. This wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. "Probably can't even read," the heavy-set man muttered loud enough for everyone to hear. "These people never finish school." Camila's fingers tightened on the tray. These people. She had a bachelor's degree in literature from City College, earned while working 2 jobs. She spoke 3 languages. She'd read more books than this man had probably touched in his entire life. But she said nothing. She needed this job. Her little sister Ava was depending on her, living with their aunt in Brooklyn, while Camila saved every penny for Ava's college fund. She couldn't afford pride. "I heard," the cold-eyed man continued, warming to his subject, "that Lorenzo here has a soft spot for charity cases, hiring the unfortunates, giving them a chance to serve their betters." Something flickered across Matteo's face. Something dark and dangerous that made Camila's breath catch. "Careful, Enzo," Matteo said softly. But Enzo was drunk, emboldened by wine and the laughter of his companions. "What?" "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. It's admirable, really, your generosity, though I'd never let someone like her touch my." The crash of shattering crystal cut him off. Matteo had risen from his chair so fast it toppled backward. His whiskey glass lay in pieces on the floor, amber liquid spreading across the white marble like blood. "Get out." Matteo's voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried more threat than any shout. "All of you now." The dining room fell silent. Camila stood frozen, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Matteo, we didn't mean." One of the men started. "I said get out." Matteo's roar shook the windows. "You come into my home, eat my food, drink my wine, and insult someone under my protection." He moved around the table with predatory grace, and the men scrambled backward like frightened children. Camila Wilson has more intelligence, more grace, more worth in her little finger than all of you combined. Ma's tray slipped from her nerveless fingers, clattering to the floor. Mateo turned to her, then really looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes that made her forget how to breathe. Not pity, not sympathy, rage, pure protective rage. She works harder in one day than you parasites have worked in your entire lives, Mateo continued, his voice dropping to that deadly quiet again. She's earning an honest living while you're all here begging me for deals, for connections, for my blessing on your failing businesses. Enzo's face had gone pale. Lorenzo, I apologize. Your apology means nothing to me. You disrespected someone. Mateo stopped, his jaw clenching. Someone under my protection in my home. There are consequences for that. It was just a joke. Another man pleaded. Mateo smiled. And it was the most terrifying expression Camila had ever seen. By tomorrow morning, every single one of you will find your business interests compromised. Your deals will fall through. Your investors will disappear. Your partners will abandon you. He leaned in close to Enzo. And you'll remember that it was because you couldn't keep a civil tongue in your head about a woman worth 10 of you. The men fled, actually fled, stumbling over each other to reach the elevator. Their expensive suits rumpled, their faces ashen. The penthouse door slammed shut, and suddenly Camila was alone with Mateo Lorenzo in the echoing silence. Camila thought she understood the world she'd walked into. She thought she knew her place in Mateo Lorenzo's life. Invisible, forgettable, just another employee. But she'd just seen something that changed everything. She'd seen a man of absolute power lose control, not for money or territory or respect, but for her. And now she stood in this marble palace, her heart racing, as Mateo turned to face her with an expression that made her realize she'd never been invisible to him at all. Mr. Lorenzo. Camila started, but her voice failed her.
Don't.
Mateo held up a hand, his chest still heaving with suppressed fury. He ran both hands through his dark hair, making it stand on end. Don't apologize. Don't thank me. Just don't. Camila wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly aware of how small she felt in this vast space, how out of place in her simple uniform, while Mateo stood there in his custom suit. Power radiating from every line of his body. I should clean up the glass, and she whispered. Leave it. But Camila, he said her name like a prayer, like a confession. Please, just I leave it. She should have left then, should have walked out, gone to her small room in the staff quarters, locked the door, and processed what had just happened. But her feet wouldn't move. She stood there trembling as Mateo Lorenzo, the most dangerous man in New York, looked at her with eyes full of something she couldn't name. How long have you known? She asked softly. Known what? That they talk about me like that? That all of them do. Mateo's hands clenched into fists. Since the first week you started working here. I heard my business associate make a comment about you in my study. I broke his nose. Camila's eyes widened. That's why Mr. Castellano stopped coming to meetings. Yes, you've been. She trailed off, not daring to finish the thought. Protecting you?
Yes.
Mateo moved to the window, staring out at the city lights. I've been paying attention, Camila. More attention than I should. More than is safe. Her heart stuttered. What does that mean? He turned, and the look on his face was raw, unguarded. It means that for 8 months I've watched you arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning and work until midnight. I've seen you fall asleep over books in the library studying. I've noticed that you skip lunch to save money. I've heard you on the phone with your sister telling her everything's fine when I know you're exhausted. Camila felt exposed, vulnerable. You've been spying on me. No, I've been unable to stop noticing you. He took a step closer. Do you know what that means for someone like me? I'm supposed to be focused on business, on survival, on maintaining control, but instead I find myself listening for your footsteps in the hallway. I make excuses to stay home when I should be at meetings because it means I might see you. He stopped, jaw clenching. I'm saying too much. Mr. Lorenzo, Mateo, please, when we're alone, call me Mateo. The intimacy of it terrified her. This can't happen. Whatever this is, it can't. I know. His voice was rough with resignation. You work for me. You're my home because you need the job, not because you want to be here. The power imbalance alone makes anything impossible.
Wrong.
Camila's throat tightened. He was right. He was absolutely right. So, why did her heart ache with disappointment? But I need you to understand something, Mateo continued. What those men said tonight, the way they looked at you, that will never happen again. Not in my presence, not anywhere in this city. I'll make sure of it.
Why?
The word escaped before she could stop it. Mateo's laugh was bitter. Because I'm a selfish man, Camila. Because seeing you hurt, seeing you disrespected, makes me want to burn the world down. And that's not fair to you. You deserve someone who can offer you a normal life, safety, peace, not a man whose enemies would use you as a weapon against him. The truth of it hung between them. He was protecting her from his own feelings, from the danger he represented. I should go, Camila whispered. Wait. Mateo pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. This is 3 months' salary in advance and a reference letter that will get you any position you want in this city. You can leave tonight if you wish. I'll understand. Camila stared at the envelope, her vision blurring. He was giving her a way out, a generous, clean break. She should take it. She should run from this man, this life, this impossible situation. Instead, she heard herself say, "What if I don't want to leave?" In that moment, everything changed. Camila had spent her whole life playing it safe, staying invisible, accepting her place in a world that told her she was less than. But something about the way Mateo looked at her, like she was precious, like she mattered, like she was worth destroying his carefully controlled world for, made her brave. She'd just asked a question that could ruin them both or save them. And as Mateo Lorenzo stared at her with hope and fear wearing in his dark eyes, she realized she'd already made her choice. Now she just had to be courageous enough to follow through. Mateo's eyes widened, and for the first time since Camila had known him, he looked uncertain. Camila, you don't know what you're saying. Don't I? She took a step forward, her fear transforming into something else, something fierce and determined. I'm 26 years old, Mr. Lorenzo. Mateo, I'm not a child. I know exactly what I'm saying. You deserve better than this. Better than me. What I deserve, she said quietly, is to make my own choices, not have them made for me by well-meaning men who think they know what's best. Mateo flinched as if she'd struck him.
You're right. I'm sorry.
He turned away, shoulders tense. There are things you don't know about me, about my life, things that would change your mind. Then tell me I can't. Why not? Because the more you know, the more danger you're in. The words exploded from him. Do you understand that, Camila? Everything I touch, everyone I care about becomes a target. My mother was killed when I was 15 because of who my father was. My sister lives in hiding because someone tried to kidnap her when she was 12. The woman I thought I might marry. His voice cracked. She died in a car bombing meant for me. Camila's heart clenched. I'm so sorry. So, you see why this is impossible? Why I can't let myself. He stopped, jaw tight. Why you need to stay away from me. But Camila saw something in his eyes. Something that made her bold. He wasn't pushing her away because he didn't care. He was pushing her away because he cared too much. What if? She said slowly. I told you I have secrets too. Things that put me in danger regardless of whether I'm close to you or not. Mateo went very still. What do you mean? Camila had never told anyone this, had buried it so deep she sometimes convinced herself it wasn't real. But if they were going to have any kind of honest conversation, she needed to be brave. 3 years ago, I witnessed something. A murder. The words tasted like ash. I was working late at a restaurant in Brooklyn, taking out the trash. I saw 2 men in an alley. Heard gunshots.
One of them saw me.
Mateo's face had gone pale. What did you do? I ran. Changed my name. Camila isn't my birth name. Moved apartments 5 times. I've been looking over my shoulder for 3 years. Mateo. So when you talk about danger, about targets, I understand more than you think. Jesus Christ, Camila. Mateo closed the distance between them in 2 strides. Have you gone to the police? The man who saw me, he worked for the police. I saw his badge before I ran. Mateo's expression turned deadly. Give me a name. No, Camila.
No.
She stood her ground. I'm not telling you so you can go after him. I'm telling you so you understand that I'm not some innocent bystander who stumbled into your world. I'm already living in the shadows, Mateo. At least with you. Maybe I'd be protected. He stared at her for a long moment, and she saw his careful control fracturing. You're asking me to be selfish, to put you at even greater risk just because I want. What do you want? She whispered. You. The word was torn from him. God, help me. I want you more than I've wanted anything in years. I want to wake up and know you're safe. I want to hear you laugh without looking over your shoulder. I want to. He reached out, his fingers hovering just above her cheek without touching. I want things I have no right to want. Camila's breath caught. What if I want them, too? Then we're both fools. Maybe. She smiled. A small trembling thing. But at least we'll be fools together. Mateo's thumb finally brushed her cheek, the touch so gentle it made her eyes sting. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you normal, but I can promise that I will spend every day trying to give you better than this. This, Camila said, leaning into his touch, is the first time in 3 years I felt like I could breathe. They were standing on the edge of something beautiful and terrifying. Two people who'd been running from their pasts, hiding in the shadows, pretending to be invisible. But that night, in that penthouse high above New York City, they decided to stop running. They decided to be seen. And in the days that followed, Matteo Lorenzo began systematically dismantling the lives of every man who'd insulted Camila as he moved her into a secure apartment and assigned her round-the-clock protection. As he slowly, carefully began to court the woman he'd been falling for from the start, Camila realized that being seen, truly seen by someone who understood darkness, was the most powerful thing in the world. 2 weeks after that fateful dinner, Camila stood in Mateo's study, her phone pressed to her ear, listening to her sister Ava's excited chatter about her upcoming college applications. I'm thinking Columbia or NYU, Ava said. The guidance counselor says my grades are good enough for scholarships. That's amazing, Jazz. Camila smiled, her heart swelling with pride. How you've worked so hard. It's because of you, Camila, because you sacrificed everything to give me this chance. After they hung up, Camila found Mateo watching her from the doorway, his expression soft. Your sister? He asked. Yeah, she's applying to colleges. Mateo crossed the room, taking her hand. Tell me about her. So Camila did. She told him about Ava's dreams of becoming a doctor, about their mother's death from cancer because they couldn't afford treatment, about the promise Camila had made to give Ava a different life. She's 16 now, Camila said, living with our aunt in a small apartment in Brooklyn. I send money every month for her school supplies, her books, everything she needs. Mateo was quiet for a moment, his thumb tracing circles on the back of her hand. What if she didn't have to live in that small apartment anymore? Camila's breath caught. What do you mean? I have a property in Manhattan. 3 bedrooms, secure building, good school district. It's sitting empty. He met her eyes. Move in with me, Camila. Bring your sister and your aunt. Let me protect all of you. Mateo, I can't accept. I'm not asking you to accept anything. I'm asking you to let me be part of your family, to let me help protect the people you love. He cooped her face gently. I know we're moving fast. I know this is complicated, but I've lived in darkness for so long, Camila. You and your sister, the life you're building, despite everything, it's light. It's hope. And I want to be part of that. Camila's eyes filled with tears. You mean it every word. But Ava, she'll ask questions. She'll want to know who you are, why you're doing this. Mateo smiled, and it was warm and real. Then we'll tell her the truth. That I'm falling in love with her sister, and I want to take care of both of them. Camila's heart stopped. You're what? Falling in love with you? He said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. I probably started the day you walked through my door, looking exhausted and determined. It's been getting worse ever since. Matteo Lorenzo. Camila laughed through her tears. You have the worst timing. I'm aware. He kissed her forehead gentle and reverent.
So, what do you say?
Will you let me meet your family? 3 days later, Matteo Lorenzo, one of the most powerful men in New York, sat in a modest Brooklyn apartment drinking coffee with Camila's Aunt Gloria and charming 16-year-old Ava with stories about his own immigrant grandmother. So, your family came from Italy? Ava asked, her eyes bright with interest. Sicily, Matteo confirmed. My Nona arrived with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Worked in a laundry for 40 years. Aunt Gloria studied him with sharp eyes. Camila tells us you're a businessman. I am. And you care about my niece more than anything. Matteo's voice was steady, honest. I know this is unconventional. I know you have questions, but I promise you I will keep her safe. Both of them safe. Aunt Gloria exchanged a long look with Camila, then nodded slowly. All right then. But know this, Mr. Lorenzo, you hurt either of my girls, and I don't care how powerful you are. I'll make you regret it. Matteo smiled, genuine and warm. I wouldn't expect anything less. That night, as Matteo drove Ma back to the penthouse, she was quiet, processing everything. You okay? He asked, glancing over at her. You were wonderful with them. With Ava. She's a remarkable kid. You've done an incredible job raising her. I'm not her mother. No, you're her guardian angel. Matteo took her hand just like you're becoming mine. Camila looked at him, this powerful, dangerous, surprisingly gentle man who'd somehow become essential to her. What happens now?
Now?
Matteo brought her hand to his lips. Now we figure it out together. Your family moves to the secure apartment. Ava gets into Columbia with a full scholarship. I have connections on the board. You stop working yourself into exhaustion, and we take it one day at a time. No pressure, no expectations, just us. It sounded impossibly simple and terrifyingly complex all at once. What about the man I saw? The dirty cop? Camila asked quietly. Matteo's expression hardened. Give me his name, Camila. Let me handle it. I don't want you to kill him. I won't, but I can make sure he never hurts you or anyone else again. There are ways, legal ways, to destroy a corrupt cop. Let me use them. Camila took a shaky breath and told him the name she'd been carrying like a weight for 3 years. Matteo made one phone call that night. By morning, the officer was under federal investigation. As Camila watched her life transform, her sister thriving in a safe home, her aunt finally able to rest, the threat that had haunted her for years, finally fading. She realized something profound. Love wasn't just about passion or romance. It was about being seen in your entirety, your fears, your secrets, your dreams, and being told, I'll help you carry that. Matteo Romano was teaching her that she didn't have to be invisible to survive. She could be brilliant, visible, loved. And as the weeks turned into months, as they built something real and true together, Camila discovered that the most dangerous thing wasn't falling for a mafia boss. It was finally believing she deserved to be caught. 6 months after that fateful dinner, Camila stood in Matteo's penthouse office, her heart pounding. On the desk between them lay a single document, a job offer from Columbia University for a teaching position. They want you to start in the fall, Matteo said quietly. Full benefits, tenure track. It's everything you wanted. Camila stared at the paper, her dream made real. How did I made a donation? They reviewed your transcripts, your work. This is legitimate, Camila. You earned this. He paused. But taking it means leaving here. Leaving this life. Leaving me. Her throat tightened. Is that what you want? I want you to be free. Matteo came around the desk, taking her hands. These past 6 months have been the best of my life. Waking up with you, watching Ava grow, having family dinners with your aunt. It's been everything I never knew I needed. But Camila heard the word he wasn't saying. But I'm still who I am. The danger is still real. And you, his voice cracked, you have a chance at a normal life now. A respected career, safety, peace. Without you, without me. Camila looked at this man who'd protected her, believed in her, loved her without reservation, who'd kept his distance physically, giving her time and space to be sure, who'd proven every day that his feelings were real. Not some possessive obsession, but genuine, deep affection. What if I told you, she said slowly, that I don't want peace without you. That I'd rather have chaos and danger with you than safety without you. Mateo's eyes closed.
Don't say that.
Why not? Because it makes me hope. And hope is dangerous for people like us. Then let's be dangerous together. Camila cupped his face, making him look at her. I love you, Matteo Lorenzo. I love your broken pieces and your darkness, and the way you make me feel like I can be more than I ever imagined. And yes, I want to teach at Columbia, but I also want to come home to you. I want to build a life that includes both things, my dreams and our love. Camila, I've been invisible my whole life, hiding, running, playing it safe. But you see me, all of me, and I'm done running. She kissed him soft and sure. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. If you'll have me. Mateo's control finally shattered. He kissed her back with desperate hunger, with months of restrained longing, with a love so fierce it made her dizzy. Yes. He breathed against her lips.
God, yes.
Always.
Yes.
Camila stood at the front of her classroom at Columbia University, discussing 19th century literature with engaged, brilliant students. Her hair was pulled back in a professional bun. Her outfit was elegant but simple. She looked exactly like what she was, a respected professor. When the class ended and the students filed out, she packed her briefcase and headed for the parking lot where a familiar black SUV waited. Mateo stepped out, opening her door with a smile. How was class, Professor Wilson? Wonderful. She kissed him, then slid into the passenger seat. How was your day? Profitable, legal even, he grinned, starting the car. I'm becoming downright respectable. They drove to the Manhattan apartment where Ava was hosting a study group where Aunt Gloria was cooking dinner that would feed an army where their unconventional family gathered. Later that night, alone in their bedroom, Mateo pulled a small box from his pocket. I know we said we'd take it slow, he murmured, kneeling, but I can't wait anymore. Camila Wilson, will you marry me? Camila laughed and cried and said yes over and over as Mateo slipped the ring onto her finger. I love you, she whispered. I love you more. He stood pulling her close. My invisible girl, who became the most visible thing in my life. They'd both lived in darkness. Both survived by becoming unseen, but together they'd learned that being truly seen, fully known, and fully loved was worth any risk, any danger, any cost. Because some things were worth fighting for. Some people were worth the chaos. Thank you all for following this story. If you enjoyed it, please write in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video as your support is important for me to continue creating content.